and take it away.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So what I'd like to focus on is something kind of new to construction. As Tim said, I've been around for a long time, about 25 years, and it's the whole idea of kind of getting project control by really changing the way you think about how you, notice I crossed out access, but receive information and communicate. So one of the key things about Sage 300 is you have the ability to really receive versus search for. Most applications today, they can generate reports or have inquiry screens, and then you get the opportunity to kind of read through those and find things that you're looking for and hopefully catch things and hopefully get your reports on time and have the information outdated and so forth, as opposed to having information pushed to you and being the recipient of information, and having that information be filtered for you before you even get it. And so that way you're only receiving information that you A, said you wanted, and B, is relevant to information. Really, the way to think about it is, and our whole society is kind of going this direction. We've become a notification society. I got a text, I got an email, my tire pressure in my car is low. I mean, we are being trained and accustomed to basically only react to information that is being pushed to us, we're being notified of. So why not have that be your project accounting system or your real estate accounting system as well? Why not have a system that actually just pushes information to you, and it pushes it in the place that you're used to working, and that's in your Outlook system. Have to be forward-looking. One of the key things about a notification is, hey, you've got a meeting in 10 minutes, or there's some future event that may harm you here. You may have a job that's projected to be over budget, or a vendor whose insurance is going to expire, or a change order that's been too long without being signed. So that's one thing I guess I'd throw out, is to think about receiving information versus accessing information. The second thing that I'm going to talk to is the whole idea of efficient communication. Now, our software guys have been talking about communication for decades, and luckily over time we've continued to invent new ways to communicate. I don't know how old everybody is on the line, but if you just think about email, and it's really been the last 10 years, maybe 15 years, where email's been about. Before that, we, had faxes and so forth. We need to spend less time bird dogging stuff, chasing our tails, and really kind of more time all get on the same page, working together as far as our communication goes. Because with that, as we all know, with efficient communication, we get things addressed quicker, we solve problems quicker, and so forth. That area where this communication takes place is Outlook. Most people today use Outlook. Most people today have a project accounting system. Most places out there, those two don't talk to each other very well. Definitely not in what I'm going to show you here, as far as live access to your project accounting data right from your Outlook system. So right from within Outlook, access your project accounting data, act on your project accounting data, without really leaving Outlook. So what does this look like? Let's jump over here and take a look. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to spend most of my time here in Outlook. And with Sage, Sage 300, there's a variety of ways that you can have information pushed to you in kind of in a variety of formats. And this information can be almost anything. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples here. It could be something as simple as, hey, these cost codes are over budget, or you're losing your jobs, your lien rights on these jobs, or it could be somebody hasn't paid you. So here's a list of AR invoices that are past due, and with Sage 300, and particularly the Assist application, you can set this up to determine what the rules are. So in other words, when do I want to be notified when someone hasn't paid me, and what information I receive. Okay. Now I can receive the information, like I said, in a variety of formats. One might be something like this. Another might be just putting out management reports. And this could be any kind of report that gets pushed out to someone in your company or outside the company. And the report can also be filtered by recipient. So the report could be just maybe each project manager gets their own report, or each property manager gets their own leases and so forth. So as my assistant kind of sits on your system, what it does is it monitors your Sage 300 data, your project accounting data, and as it finds things, it alerts people. Now, one of the things it can do is it can alert people outside your company or inside your company. I'm going to show you a couple examples. So here's an example of maybe me receiving a list of vendors with an expiring insurance. Now this is kind of nice, and this is probably what you might be used to today as far as email goes, but there's a problem with this. There's a big, big problem with email today. And actually there's two problems. One is it's not well integrated with your project accounting system. The second is it's static. So if I have an email that just has text on the screen, I really can't do much with it. Well, with Sage My Communicator, you actually can. So with Sage My Communicator, when I open this email up, notice this is actually a grid. I don't have that thing. It's actually a live grid. I can sort my vendors. I can move columns around. I can filter. I can do all sorts of things here that I might want to do with my data here. So this is my data out of my Sage system in a live grid inside an email message. Also notice on top here it dropped in a ribbon, the tab here that says, okay, here's some actions that you might want to perform on this data. Now this can be anything. I've got a list of vendors here. This could be jobs or cost codes or change orders or submittals or RFIs or what have you. And I'm going to show a couple of examples there. But what I can do here is I can come in here and I can grab a guy and I can forward this particular guy. And I may want to send that vendor a letter. I may want to send the project manager something. I can come in here and do that. I can send it to just somebody out of my address book here. I'll just grab somebody. Okay. And I can put a note in, please let me know when something's going on, and off it goes. Okay, so one of the first things I can do is I can act on this information. So by integrating the project accounting information into Outlook and email, it allows you to act on it. So that's one thing. Another thing that people struggle with is people have talked to lots and lots and lots of real estate and construction firms, and there's tons of company information sitting in email messages. In fact, if you actually sat and thought about that for a second, it's kind of a scary thought as to how much of your corporate information is sitting in email messages that don't get filed, that don't get tied back to your vendors and your jobs, your customers, and all that sort of stuff. So what you notice here, I've got this little star here. So if I got this little star, that tells me that there's been some activity around for that vendor. And I can see here that I've sent a message off to someone. And let me go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and just collapse this. I can maybe reopen the email. I believe this is the one I just sent here. And there's the one I sent on to Teresa, and my message was this. I could have assigned it to her and told her that I'm waiting on her. I could have given her a response date. I didn't do that. And I can then be made aware that she needs to get back to me on a certain date. So in addition to follow-up, I can leave flags behind with due dates and so forth to get back to me. So that's a benefit of integration. Another benefit of integration and another problem with email is that information can get static. It can get old, outdated, and so forth. So what I can do is I can come in here, and I'll just go into this. I'll grab this one that's unanswered R5s, let's say. Okay, so I go into this one here, and I say, boy, is this still current? Well, what I can do is I can go up to this refresh button, and I can hit refresh, and it's going to go through this list and automatically pull things off that should be off and add things that should be added. So right from your email, live access into your Sage 300 data and update the information in the email message. Okay? If you guys are like most folks that we see, probably open your email first thing in the morning, check it. You check it probably several times throughout the day. and it's really the place where you actually disseminate and receive information. So that's another thing I can do is I can actually update my information right here in an email message live from my project accounting system just by hitting the refresh button. The things I can do here is I can assign a task request. So if I come in here and I say, you know what, someone needs to follow up on this, I can actually create a task request, and this will actually place it on their task list. Okay, so if I went in here and gave this to somebody, it will place it on their task list. It will, if I can choose to leave a copy on my task list in Outlook, and as they finish that thing or complete these things, I get notified. Nice little feature there for them as well. Okay, so I sit and I communicate all that I want. One of the other things that my assistant can do is my assistant can communicate outside of the company, and we see quite a few Sage 300 customers doing this. This is an example of a letter to send to a vendor requesting an updated insurance information. And the vendor kind of replied here. There'd probably be an attachment to the insurance certificate, and I didn't do that in this example. But when I open this back up, it stays here on the letter. My communicator is smart enough to know that it's a response and to not go to live view. So the next step here is to update Sage. So the next step is I need to go update that insurance date. Okay. Now this update could be a variety of things. It could be an emergency contact on an employee, an answer to an RFI, a vendor price for a change proposal, the receipt of a signed contract, the receipt of a lien waiver. There's a whole variety of things you can update right here from your email message. How do you do that? You just say Update Sage. There's an Update Sage button right here. It flips to the live view. I'm going to double click right here, and it's going to open a little window for me that is going to allow me to selectively update certain fields. Okay, so you know our expiration date, and I can go in here and I can say, no, let's make that, I'm just going to type in here 2016, okay, and maybe they have a new phone number, I can put it in, and I say update, and it writes it back to the Sage database. So a couple benefits there. One is easy. Number one, I just double click on the row and there it is. Two, you get to determine what fields are updated. Actually, you get to determine what fields are in this screen as well as what fields get updated in Sage. So it's a very controlled way to allow people to post information back into selective places in your project accounting system or your property accounting system, for that matter. So they don't have to have access to the entire accounts payable system or job cost system or property management system to just go and update selected pieces of information. Okay, so we've got live access, we've got communication with activity tracking, and we've got updating back into the Sage system. I've got a couple other things that we can show you here. One is, let's say I got a response. Another example, we've got a client doing this where emergency contact information. So you get a new employee, you need information. I just use emergency contact. This could be a whole variety of things. You need driver's licenses. You need training certificate expiration dates, emergency contacts, beneficiaries, what have you. You can collect that information. And this request is out automatically from my assistant to the employee. You don't have to send it out. It's automatic. You click on something, you say run, and it sends out the request. When you get it back, you can come in here, and I can update the information just by clicking on the given row. Opens up my little window here and allows me to put in my contact information. Some people ask, well, why don't you just automatically put it in? Well, we actually talked to clients about that, and they said it's still like some level of control on their accounting system. They just don't want anybody to, to do that. They want to kind of force to enter the appropriate information here. So we went this route. So that's another example of how you might want to update information right from your Outlook email system. Another example might be RFIs. So right from an RFI email, you can go in and plug answers into an RFI here. And so So if I go in here and do this, it's going to allow me to plug in the answer. I can plug in the answer. I can get the cost impact, and it will update my RFI record. I then can forward this on to some subcontractors if I want, and away I go. So that's one way of working with your Sage 300 information in Outlook, is on an email-by-email basis. Now, if you're like most folks, your inbox can get kind of full. Things could fall out of the bottom here, and they aren't visible anymore. And so you come to the software guys and you say, hey, can you pull it all together in one spot for me? And so we've done that right here with this My Communicator button, right here in line with your mail and calendar and so forth. And here, think of this as your own personalized little inquiry tool into your project or property accounting system. What this will list is this will list subjects that you have permissions to access, okay? And you can go in here and just view this information. So these are the cost codes over budget. Or maybe you want a list of just open RFIs. So let me see all my open RFIs on the project right now, okay? And here they are. Here's my open RFIs on my projects. And I have the same capabilities that I had with within an email. I can come in here. I can grab an item. I can forward the item. I can see if there's any activity around this item, any communication by looking at the activity log for each of these items. These haven't had any, because you'll see a little asterisk right here if they did. So I can see activity. I should mention on that activity is, as you forward information out, one of the questions that comes is, well, what happens to the response that comes back in? And the answer is it's automatically logged. So as you forward information out and the response comes back in, it's automatically logged here in My Communicator and stored off for you. And then it gets stored back to the record it came from. In my case, there was insurance, or it might be this RFI, or it may be, submittals or what have you. So this communication is logged both direction, incoming and outgoing for you. So with this area here, you've got a real nice, just think of it, like I said, as a little inquiry tool to look at your project information right here in Outlook. So you can come here and these subjects you actually get to determine. You get to determine those with the Sage My Assistant product. And the Sage My Assistant product, as I'm bringing up on the screen here, so normally it's one person in your company will come in and turn on these things we call tasks. And it comes with for contractors, it's about 220 pre-built tasks, and create your new ones. Real estate firms, it's about 110, just because there's fewer applications, software applications. But you can come in and turn on these tasks, and so you get to determine what information is being pushed out, who receives it, particularly what columns and what the report looks like, and kind of where you go. You set this up once. It just sits on your server. It runs on a schedule. These items can be scheduled to send out, once a week, once a month, twice a month, whatever, and then they just run, and then people receive their email. It's been kind of interesting working with contractors and real estate firms with this product, in that there's this transition they go through where they get used to receiving this information in their email system. And they get really used to it. And the reason we know that is, for some reason, if something ever happens to their server, we get phone calls, and they're like, hey, my alerts are down. We need my alerts up, and it really becomes, I guess, almost like a cell phone when you think about it. We're all pretty reliant on our cell phones these days, and if you took away your cell phone, you'd probably really miss it. So I'd encourage you to kind of think about not accessing, but receiving information. It's a pretty big change in how most people think than traditional project management, accounting management, but it's definitely where automation's going. For that matter, as we pointed out, we're already on our way there with how all the notifications we get today. I saw one the other day, driving your car, supposedly it's going to notify you, accidents ahead. I mean, notifications are everywhere. Hopefully that gives you some kind of food for fodder. Tim, can we open this up to questions in any way?
Yeah.